Your phone buzzes. You look. Nothing important. You look again 10 minutes later anyway. You tell yourself you'll stop after this one check. You don't. But the real answer for why you do this is far stranger than you have no willpower. Your brain was not built for notifications. It was built for something much older. Something that kept your ancestors alive on a savanna, where every rustle in the grass might be food, or might be a predator, or might be nothing at all. Your brain never knew which, and that not knowing is exactly what kept it checking. Here is the strange part. The uncertainty itself is the reward, not the message, not the like. The wondering. In the 1950s, a psychologist named B.F. Skinner ran an experiment with pigeons and a lever. Press the lever, sometimes food falls out, not every time. Randomly. Skinner found something unexpected. Pigeons given food on a predictable schedule pecked the lever occasionally, calmly, like checking a mailbox. But pigeons given food on a random, unpredictable schedule pecked and pecked and pecked, almost without stopping. He called this a variable ratio reinforcement schedule. It is the single most addictive pattern of reward ever discovered in a laboratory. It is also, almost exactly, how your phone works. Think about that for a second. Every time you unlock your phone, you are pulling a lever. Sometimes something good falls out. A message from someone you like. A comment on something you made. Sometimes nothing falls out at all. You cannot predict which. So you keep pulling. You might think the reward is the payoff, the good news, the funny video, the notification with something inside it. It isn't. Decades after Skinner's pigeons, a neuroscientist named Wolfram Schultz put electrodes into the brains of monkeys and tracked a single chemical: dopamine. He expected dopamine to spike when the monkeys received a reward, like a squirt of juice. It did. But then he changed the experiment. He added a cue, a sound, right before the juice arrived. Something unexpected happened. Over time, the dopamine spike moved. It stopped firing when the juice arrived. It started firing when the cue played, when the monkey didn't yet know if juice was coming. Read that again. The brain's chemical reward system is not built to celebrate getting something. It is built to celebrate not knowing yet whether you will. This is called reward prediction error, and it rewired how an entire field understood craving. Dopamine is not a pleasure chemical. It is an anticipation chemical. It fires hardest in the gap between wanting and knowing. Your phone lives entirely inside that gap. Now picture your ancestors again. 40,000 years ago, a version of you crouches at the edge of a clearing. Something moved in the tall grass. You don't know what it is yet. Your heart rate climbs. Your attention narrows to a single point. That surge of dopamine, that jolt of, "I have to find out," kept you alive. It pulled your eyes toward the grass instead of letting you wander off distracted and get eaten. The humans who felt that pull the strongest, who couldn't tolerate not knowing, survived to pass down brains wired exactly the same way. Your phone did not create this circuit. It found it. And then it built an entire industry around, triggering it, over and over, every few minutes, for free. There is a term for what happens when this loop runs long enough. In the early 2000s, an anthropologist named Natasha Schull spent 15 years studying slot machine players in Las Vegas. She expected to find people chasing jackpots, chasing money. She found something else entirely. The players she interviewed didn't describe wanting to win. They described wanting to stay in what they called the machine zone, a state where time disappears, where the outside world goes quiet, where nothing exists except the next pull and the next uncertain outcome. Winning, several told her, would actually end the state they were chasing. They weren't playing to win. They were playing to keep not knowing. Does that sound familiar? Scroll for 10 more seconds. One more refresh. Just check if anyone replied. You are not checking to find something specific. You are checking to stay inside the gap a little longer. Here is where it gets stranger still. Your ancestors' uncertainty had an ending. The rustle in the grass resolved. It was a rabbit, or it was nothing. And either way, the moment closed. Your brain got to relax. Modern notifications almost never resolve that way. There is always another message that might arrive in 5 minutes, another comment that might appear tonight, another headline that might update by morning. The gap never closes. It just refreshes. You are living inside a predator detection system that never gets to stand down. This is not a character flaw. It is not proof that you are weak or undisciplined. It is what happens when a 300,000-year-old survival circuit meets a technology engineered, deliberately, by people who read the same research you just heard, to keep that circuit firing as often as possible. App designers do not guess at this. Many of them studied exactly the mechanisms Skinner and Schultz uncovered, and built interfaces around them on purpose. The pull to refresh gesture. The 3 dots that show someone is typing. The unpredictable timing of a like notification. None of it is accidental. All of it is variable ratio reinforcement, running on a screen instead of a lever. So, what do you actually do with a brain like this, in a world like this? You cannot switch off a circuit that kept every one of your ancestors alive long enough to have children. But you can change what feeds it. Uncertainty is the fuel. So the goal is not more willpower. The goal is fewer unpredictable openings for your attention to fall into. Turning off non-essential notifications does not work because you suddenly develop discipline. It works because it removes the random cue your dopamine system is waiting for. Checking your phone on a fixed schedule, 3 set times a day instead of whenever it buzzes, works for the same reason Skinner's predictable reward pigeons stayed calm. Certainty is boring to a brain built for gaps. That is exactly the point. There is something almost tender in all of this, if you sit with it. The same wiring that makes you glance at your phone 40 times before lunch is the wiring that once made a human being pause at the edge of firelight and listen, hard, for what might be coming. It is not a broken system. It is an ancient one, doing exactly what it was built to do, in an environment that never stops giving it something to do it for. Your phone buzzes. You look, nothing important. But now you know what you are actually looking for. Not the message, the gap right before it.